This is from August 8th today, and let me just read it. So I don't know if it is worth it or not, the fact of learning code by hand. On the one hand, no pun intended, I would like to be able to say I can code anything or almost anything line by line by hand, although it will take quite a considerable amount of time. Point one. Now, by contrast, writing code by hand takes a long time, which seems to be unfortunate because it used to be okay for it to take the necessary time, but now it seems to be assessed as slow. Another problem that comes to mind when reflecting about this is the fact that we know that it is advisable to be updated and in the loop in terms of, I should say, up to date in here, and in the loop in terms of whatever is happening in the world of professional programming. Therefore, now that AI generated code is becoming, if not already, the norm, one finds oneself, let me just add this in here. So, one finds oneself needing to learn and master all things AI agents, skills, MCPs, and so on. All this new learning takes time and effort, okay? And all that energy is spent on learning and mastering of this new knowledge area, quite different from the traditional I write my code by hand mode, is necessarily energy not invested on programming by oneself. Point two, the necessary time and effort, energy spent in the new way of coding reduces the possibilities of practicing the old way. Now, if I were doing this by hobby or as a hobby, not as a professional programmer, assuming I would make a good living doing something else and have time to do programming for fun, I would probably be programming all or most of my stuff by hand completely, just because it is more engaging and direct and artisanal. Whether I want to or not, I have to use AI code generation almost for 100% of my work production nowadays. I do have mixed feelings about this, but I have to be honest and humble, and I have to accept the fact that without it, I would not have been able to produce and fulfill most of the projects and tasks I have been assigned in my job. So I am profoundly grateful that given my lack of experience before this work, it has been a true blessing to have AI code generations practically since I started this job. Not as it is today, but quite helpful already. I am sure I could have done a good job, decent work, if the AI code generation did not exist. But we will never know because that was not the case, nor will ever be, most likely. So I am nevertheless extremely happy and grateful for having started to program before all this craze of AI, and I do appreciate that enormously. However, if we are to think about it deeply, that does not necessarily means a person starting now could not get extremely well prepared and knowledgeable in real coding, programming, program writing, if going the old way. I think it is but a decision to come up with, design, plan, write, and test programs all by oneself. So, what is stopping me from doing that? Is there a real blockage here? Is it my mind putting limits? Point three, muscles that do not get used or exercise begin to atrophy. Aren't we giving up our mental powers of volition, cognition, knowledge, development, attention, memory, and reason when we just ask the AI agents to do all of the work? I contend that this is true and this is what is happening. And it might be disastrous. I think it is disastrous. So, a conflict is, as sketched before, that they having to spend time on the new way versus the old way, you know? because you take time from this to this. And another conflict, as everything in life, everything else in life, this comes down to decisions. So, shall I decide in favor of just purely adapting and not giving time to the old way, or what? If one wants to be a great programmer, is there a way to do that without actually designing, developing, and just writing the programs oneself? I don't see how, unless, of course, we just change the definition of great programmer, which will inevitably, inevitably, be different for everybody. So, to me, to be a great programmer, you have to be able to verifiably, this is an E here, verifiably create programs by hand, create programs by hand, line by line, that produce significant value in business or in entertainment or education or any other area of personal and or professional importance. Or if not computer programs, then adjacent products and or services related to programming that are considered valuable by a significant number of users, namely a course, a game, which is a program though, a book, and so on. So, point four, those who keep programming the old way, reasoning, struggling, and independently achieving successful results will have a personal and professional advantage when competing with those or against those who are fully in the new way. In the mind, if the mind is a muscle that is maintained, trained, grown, and developed by the old way, you will be fit for any future challenges and you will have a major competitive advantage in comparison with those who stop training and went full the new way. It is a decision. I shall keep programming in the old way for as long as I live, provided that I love programming and learning. So maybe it is about accepting that I won't be able to compete with machines because, I mean, that's not possible already, but I will be able to compete with and maybe win against other human programmers. This will put me in a much better position in the hierarchy. There will always be a hierarchy, and where you are in it changes your whole life. Do you really want to be at the bottom? This might be a strong negative motivation, but all motivation can be useful. And you do easily find positive reasons, positive motivation, nevertheless, if you think about the learning, the getting better, the never ending growth, and potential contribution to others. Point five, it might be a moral imperative to maintain and improve our cognitive skills, our deep knowledge and capacities, so as to serve humanity, society, as best as possible.